Hey, my name is Jared Moon, and I'm part of a group of underground athletes you've probably never even heard of before. We don't rely on fancy equipment for training, and most of us don't even have gym memberships. In fact, our motivation comes from within. You see, we have jobs, families, and responsibilities, but we still have big goals, and they aren't getting achieved at a global gym. For that reason, we have to do things differently. Our training has to be smarter. We don't have every piece of equipment known to man or a ton of time to train, and we don't need it, because we are achieving amazing things without it. So how do we do it? If you ask your average personal trainer or gym goer, they'd call us crazy. Yet we're seeing results better than most every single day. And it's happening by blending mental training with physical training and becoming an athlete. What we call, and welcome to, Garage Gym Athlete.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. My name is Jared Moon. With me is Joe Courtney. What's up, Joe?
Hey, man. Happy to be back.
Yeah, and Jace Albright. How's it going, Jace?
Doing good, doing good.
I am pumped to be here in Season 2 talking to athletes. So let's get into it, Jace. Who are you? What do you do for a living, and how do you train?
Well, I'm originally from Texas. I know you just left, but
yeah.
It's a good place. I'm out in Ontario, California. I'm a doctor of physical therapy, have my CSCS through the NSCA, work in an outpatient orthopedic and sports setting predominantly, have a passion for working with tactical athletes, fire, EMS, law enforcement. So I do that on the side. Husband, got 3 kids, and yeah, that's about it. And as far as training goes, I work out either at home or at work. Since, kind of basically work in a gym, I get that option at lunch to bust out a little bit extra work if I need to. But most of my background's in, kettlebells, sandbag, that kind of thing, a little bit more of the functional stuff, if you will.
Awesome. And what are your kids' ages?
I've got 7, 6, and 3, a boy and 2 girls.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun, man.
Yeah, I'd rather be like you and have all the boys, but, we'll see what number 3 holds.
I got 2 boys and 1 girl on the way, so it's going to balance it out a little bit more. All right, man, so I like your setup, and I also like that you're into functional fitness. I'd like to ask, before we talk about any more of that stuff, what got you kind of into the kettlebell sandbag arena?
Well, I got into kettlebells. I had a friend in PT school who was really into it. He was kind of semi-pro rugby before he came to physical therapy, and he was just the strongest guy I've personally ever known. And so I just started talking to him, and he introduced me to it. And then I just went down that road. So I've been using kettlebells since probably 2007, 2008. So it's been a while. The sandbags I got into only within the last year or so, but I just like the instability that it offers. So it forces you to work muscles in a different way. So you can still do a lot of, more dynamic lifts, but the instability makes it a little bit more challenging.
Okay. Yeah, man. I'm a big fan of kettlebells in general. And I was actually talking to an athlete earlier today, because we asked that question, and you'll get asked that question soon enough. But it used to be predominantly like one piece of equipment you train with, barbell. But I'm seeing a big shift towards the kettlebell, and I think that that's really cool because, the Russians knew what was up when they started that stuff, and now we're deep into it today. All right.
Yeah. So before you were physical therapy, were you always a fan of the kettlebell and the sandbag? I know in physical therapy, when I've done some a little bit or programmed people for to work the stabilizers, we do kettlebells or sandbags. But so did your training affect that, or were you always a fan of those tools?
No, I didn't really. My background with strengthening in general, even in physical therapy, a lot of the old school physical therapy model is a lot of the TheraBands and real static stuff. And I wanted to move away from that. That's why I went into the strength and conditioning NSCA stuff, just so I had a better understanding of how to better program for my patients and then my athletes to move them on when they're done with me. But my background, the first book I ever picked up on strength training was Arnold's Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding, so I came from that background of training. So a lot of dumbbells and barbells and things. It wasn't until later I got introduced to the kettlebell, but I fell in love with it because the world's not as nice as a barbell will give you. It's very uniform and static and consistent, and sand and kettlebells are not.
Very true. All right, man. So you mentioned you work out a little bit at work, a little bit at home.
Mm-hmm.
What's your home setup like?
Home, I've got a small space in the garage, about 8 by 10 or so. I've got a TRX, which also I'm a fan of. A few sandbags, about 3 kettlebells. I have the plyo box. Thank you, Jared, for that. I've made my own pull-up bar out of the black iron stuff you can get at Home Depot, and Indian clubs. I've got a road bike I've got on a trainer set up right now, and it's about it. Yeah, those are the big things.
Dude, some Indian clubs. How do you like those?
They're interesting. I use it a lot more for shoulder mobility work to get me kind of warmed up. Gray Cook, physical therapy guy, refers to it as a self-limiting exercise, kind of like a jump rope for the upper body, which I have a jump rope too. But
yeah, it's really cool because was it maces and all of those more odd objects. That they're gaining a lot more popularity. But what's so funny is like how old school they are. Like I was just at so we moved out here to Asheville, and there's this like really famous house here in Asheville, North Carolina, called the Biltmore. And who was it? It's not Rockefeller. One of those rich guys. I forget his name right now. But you tour this mansion, right? And like he was way ahead of his time because fitness wasn't even a thing back then. And he had like a full fitness center in his basement. And it had like lined up all the stuff that he used, and there were like Indian clubs and maces and stuff. Those were the things, the instruments he was training with, and I was like, dude, this stuff is just like, this is it, man. Like people had it figured out a long time ago. I feel like we forgot somewhere in the last century or so, or half a century, and then we're remembering all this great stuff that where fitness came from and what people were doing back in the day. All right, so
yeah, exactly.
What did you why did you start a garage gym? Because you have every opportunity to train elsewhere. It seems. Why have also a home gym?
Well, I like the convenience. I like to start my day first thing. Just get out of bed, go downstairs, go out in the garage, and start working out to start that day. Or in the evening, just have that option after dinner. To go out in the garage and get some extra work in. I just like to work at my own pace. I'm very competitive, so a CrossFit style box would never be a place for me because I would end up hurting myself. I wouldn't stop there. I did one man, one kettlebell when you released it this summer, and it was nice because I could push myself but pace myself at the same time. I just had knee surgery a couple weeks ago, so I'm also able to work around that without having the pressure of other people around me waiting on, in a regular gym, trying to get to the equipment or whatnot. But also I try to want to set an example for my kids. If they can come out and see me, if they're just riding their bikes in the alley, but I'm, swinging a kettlebell around, they'll jump on too. When I play with the TRX, I'll turn around and I'm going to something else. My daughter's swinging on it, trying to figure it out. So, you just get that natural example. If it's important to you, then it's going to rub off on them as well.
That's what I'm hoping, man. That's what I'm hoping. Fingers crossed, right?
Right. Exactly.
And so what are some of your goals, say your current goals and accomplishments you've seen training at home?
As far as accomplishments, I've done a lot of swings with my weight, and I really have figured out a lot of it's just poor nutrition, trying to figure out what works for me. And so I did some quick fix diets and wasn't working out and dropped down. For me, 180 was really lean, and I was at 160 lean body mass. But I just wanted to put back on some muscle, and so I went up 30 pounds in muscle just working at home. But I put on a ton of fat too. So now I'm kind of swinging that back down. So when I started one man, one kettlebell, I went down 2% body fat and 10 pounds, and
nice.
Just maintained my lean body mass during that 4-week period, which was really nice. I cleaned up my diet, found out paleo works really well for me. It's easy to follow, and that seems to work. So I'm still trying to trim down back to around 12-14% body fat. So I've got a ways to go. Strength wise, I want to get my Strong First certification. So I'm working towards that, the level 1, which is pretty intense. So I've got a ways to go to get that strong. Nice,
man. And so what were you doing before all of this? Before functional fitness? I mean, what were you, I guess kind of a little bit of your athletic background too.
Yeah, I grew up, I've always had a love for weights. Just genetically, I build muscle very easy. And so I've lifted on the side. I played tennis a lot when I was younger. And then when I got into college, I started getting more into strength training, and again, not really knowing how to program for myself, I would buy books, Arnold's book, the Bob Paris book, and a few other things before I really found a lot of stuff online and just follow those programs. As I've gotten further along, I've done some of my own programming, hit or miss success. I did the 5x5 strong lift program. That worked really well for me when I did some barbell training. And now I'm following just some kettlebell strengthening programs again to eventually prepare me for the Strong First certification.
Awesome. And I'm guessing, you enjoy training at home over training at the gym, but I don't want to. What is the preference, man? Because it can be a challenge, and you're kind of like towing the line here. So there's got to be pros and cons. So what do you think? Like, how do you enjoy it versus being at the, at a gym? I know like I said, they both have their ups, their pros and cons. Which one are you leaning towards liking more?
Right. Well, I had a couple stints in a Globo gym, but mainly just to get access to barbells because I don't have those at home. And so that gave me that option to train with them there. But I didn't like the crowds, the money, and some of the other things as well. Hey, I'll see you in a minute. My daughter just came in the room.
Yeah.
But the strengthening at the gym, I just didn't like the crowds and how much time it took and having to wait for equipment, those kind of things. That I would prefer to be able to use it when I want, again, at my own pace, not feel rushed.
And when you are working out at home, do you find it any more difficult to get the work done? Like just from a motivation standpoint?
Yeah, at times. If you go to bed too late, it's hard to roll out of bed at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to get out there. Or same thing in the evening. If you've had a long day at work, then, you're pretty tired and it can be challenging to get out there. Or same thing, families around, so it can be a distraction at times too. Other things happen that need to go on. So it can be difficult. That's also why I have that option. I like to work out at lunch at work. So we don't have a full setup, but I have that option as well.
So what's your primary time? Are you a morning guy, lunch guy?
Morning.
Morning?
Yeah, I like mornings.
Joe, when do you work out?
It always varies, but usually morning before my first meal, mid-morning, late morning.
Yeah, I'm early morning. It's fluctuated a lot over the years. When we had one kid, I did evenings because he went to bed so early, and that was fine actually. But then I transitioned to super early morning, and I felt like I was really losing intensity because I just wasn't like really awake. And then I moved to afternoons, and then that just didn't work with my work schedule anymore. So I moved back to early mornings, and for some reason I don't feel like I have the intensity problem anymore. But really, it's finding that groove that works for you. When you do work out in the morning, do you have any particular morning routine on top of that that you follow with the training, like nutrition-wise or anything else?
Yeah, I would prefer to eat or do something prior. I do get more intensity. Like you said, I notice a little bit better. That's why I like to work out a little bit harder at lunch at work if I have the time, because I've had some food in me. I'm a little bit more ready to go. If I'm working out in a fasted state, I can get the job done, but it's not the same. But I can usually put in enough work to accomplish what I'm working towards. But I do better a little bit later in the day. But for time's sake with kids, mornings are best.
Yeah, mornings. It's almost a necessity. It's and to be honest, I don't know if it's getting older or whatever. I just can't even do evenings anymore. I'm awake, but like if I don't work out before noon, let's say, it's just not, the workout's not going to happen. I can pretend like it's going to later in the day, but it's just not. So like I have to get it done in the morning. I know that about myself now. It's unfortunate.
Was that like a decision fatigue or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I get to the end of my day, like, because I used to work out evenings, like I said, when it was just William, and then more recently, I'd say over the last year, I'll get to the end of the, like I'd be like, okay, busy this morning, let's push it, let's get all this work done, and then work out in the end of the day. It stopped happening, so I was like, all right, no, this is not acceptable. Got to change the schedule.
I don't know if I've really compared or contrasted yet the difference on how I perform on either a fasted state, because normally I a lot of times I work out in the fasted state, but for a while there I was doing it like regular breakfast in the morning, and then I'd work out like an hour or two after that before lunch. So that'd be kind of interesting to compare, but I guess everybody's kind of different, has their own thing.
Yeah, and that's what I just to go on this tangent a little bit more with you guys. Like I feel subjectively, we talked about the different intensities, same with you, Jace, like you said you could probably hit it a little bit harder with some food in the system and hitting in the afternoon. I feel the same way, but I'm trying to go objectively now because I've been tracking data for most of this year with the Whoop, which gives you like a strain score and basically tells you how hard you are or are not working in a workout. So I'm trying to compare what my actual strain scores are on morning workouts versus afternoon workouts over the course of a year, where I'm not trying to like manipulate the data to see when I'm actually hitting it harder. And then, that's a good way to go about it too. Or just a heart rate monitor in general, something you could use. All right, man.
Right.
So what's the hardest workout you have ever done?
I had an opportunity to do, I'd only been using kettlebells for a little less than a year, and I got an opportunity to do advanced level 2 kettlebells with Pavel Satsulin and about
Nice.
5 of his guys. And normally you're in a group of about 300 and there's 30 of us. So there was no hiding, and everything was doubles, double snatches, double cleans, double swings, everything. And I was still very much a rookie. And at the 4-hour mark, we broke for lunch, and I tried to go downstairs and my legs gave out. And I was like, oh my God, I've got 4 more hours of this. And I walked bent over for another week, and all my patients, made fun of me all the time. Oh, who's the real patient here? My hamstring, I couldn't stand up straight for about a week after that.
Wow, dude.
So is this for Kettlebell Sport or
That was
Seminar?
for my CSCS, getting some Con Ed. So, but the most painful Con Ed I've ever got.
And so do you do any competitive kettlebell stuff?
No, I'm nowhere near that level. I
Okay.
just trying to keep up my strength and fitness, and that's really about it. Just personal stuff.
Yeah, just curious because I just we had on the Better Humanology podcast, we had the kettlebell guy on, and man, just some of that stuff I had no idea like how intense it was, man. Like just that sounds like some extreme stuff. Like what he's talking about, kettlebell cycling for I forgot how many minutes with like 2 poot each arm, and I'm just like, dude, for like 10 minutes, like max swings, like dude, that's intense, and they just like don't stop. It's not like
They're crazy. Yeah.
Like if I had to pace something out like that, I'd be like, all right, let's hit like 10 reps, and then we'll rest a little bit, 10 reps, but keep it fast and intense. But they're just like, nah, how about we just go 10 minutes straight? I'm like, okay, sounds good.
Yeah. The StrongFirst certification, it's a 3-day certification. You don't take your test till the 3rd day. They say the first day you're doing over 1,000 swings easy, and then that's the first day, and you still got 2 more days before your test. So I'm prepared for that, but it's going to take a while.
Dang, yeah, that sounds intense, man. All right, so in your opinion, what's the best activity for building mental toughness?
Yeah, man, a lot of the guys you've had on either for season 1 or some of your guests, have a lot better answers than me. But when I was thinking about it, I was thinking about for what works for me is just having a really big stretch goal. Like the first time I rode a century on a bike or something like that. And then surrounding myself with guys who are much better than me, because then I can't slack off in my intensity. I'm trying to keep up with those guys. So it pushes me faster towards my goal. And so I just don't want to, again, being very competitive. If I surround myself with people who are a lot better than me, it's going to naturally push me forward. So I can't quit even when my body tells me I want to.
And how do you typically find these people that are better than you? Do you like have a lot of fit friends, or do you get involved in groups? Like, what do you typically do?
I like groups. I used to be a real avid cyclist before I had kids, and so I just joined a couple of clubs, and they had some Cat 1 racers in there, and so I'm a big guy, and so it was a lot harder to keep up those skinny little guys going up the hills. And here in Southern California, we've got a lot of the foothills, and I can ride year round. They're flying up the hills, and I'm struggling just to not die. So being in a club, there's naturally going to be people who are a lot better than you. I try to never be the biggest frog. You're in your little pond, you think you're the big frog, but if you can get around bigger frogs, you realize how much more you got to go. So I always try to surround myself with people who are better than me.
And do you ever find it discouraging at all, being around a bunch of people who are better than you?
For me, no. Again, I'm so competitive. It just pushes me to not be the worst one of the group, just be just a little bit better, So that's that competitive nature. It just pushes me.
Yeah, and that's
If everybody's always ahead of you, then no one can pass you.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's true too. The way we worked is that the hardest climb of the day when I was in the club when the last guy got to the top of the hill, everyone would leave. So you would get no break if you're the last one. So you want to be at least second to last. So you got at least a little bit of a breather before you had to go back downhill.
And I agree with that 100%. I was just asking because just to see if there's any con to that at all. But I'm a firm believer, like, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. If you're the fittest dude in the group or the fittest guy in the room, you're in the wrong group, wrong room. Likewise, you should always be surrounding yourself by people who are much better than you are. All right, dude. If you could only have one piece of equipment to train with for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Kettlebell.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
They're so versatile. I like it.
Shocker.
We spoiled it.
Right?
We spoiled it. All right, Joe. I know you have your Santa question, so I'll let you throw it in there, man.
Hey, so since we're in the holidays, Santa's coming to town, and he wants to know what's at the top of your garage gym wish list. What would it be? Wish list.
Wish list. Yeah. Currently torn. If I don't win Jared's Concept 2 rower giveaway, then I'd go for that. And if not, then if I get lucky, go for a barbell, because I'd love to have my own barbell at home.
Either one of those great choices, man. And Concept 2 is making it difficult now. Like, they have like a very strategic plan to just take all of my money because I want the ski erg, I want their new bike, rower's amazing. It's just they got.
They're just gonna invent stuff.
Yeah. I don't know what's next, but I would have never guessed a ski erg. That's for sure. A bike kind of made sense to me, but man, who knows what they'll come up with next. All right, man. So before we get to the question, I do want to know, what is your biggest struggle as someone who, let's just say, training in general? What do you find to be the biggest struggle in just getting it done?
It's time. As I've got kids, I work 2 jobs. I'm also an adjunct faculty at a university teaching graduate and undergraduate exercise science, kinesiology stuff. So I'm constantly doing that, doing side projects. We're just busy guys. It's our 30s. It's the time we're building our career and family, ministry at church and everything else. I'm just busy. And so if it doesn't make it to the top of my priority list, it doesn't get done. So making it, adjusting the priorities enough and just telling myself I have enough gas in the tank that it is important. I need to get it done, even if I am tired, if I got to bump something else. But it's finding that balance. That's why, again, I'm at home. So I don't take more time away from my kids. I can be out there with them rather than having to drive somewhere and get something else done. So it's priorities and commitments.
Got it, man. All right. The question of the show, man. A lot of garage gym athletes out there listening. What is the best advice you have for garage gym athletes?
I'd say the biggest thing is know when to ask for help. As a physical therapist, I see a lot of people trying to bring fitness solution to a medical problem, meaning they've got pain on board and they're trying to just work out through it and tough out through the pain. It's not a no pain, no gain situation, So a lot of people are not accomplishing their goals because they have an underlying orthopedic issue. And whether that be weight loss or strength, the said principle won't work if you've got pain on board, because the motor control responses are inconsistent and unpredictable. You've got to clear that first, and then you'll see programming happen better and more efficient and more quickly, right? Same thing with form and efficiency. As much as I love kettlebells, they take forever to master. And so people think, oh, I can do a snatch at home, or even with a barbell. Some people's form is horrific. So knowing when to ask for help, get some coaching, make sure you're clear on things. And if you have pain, ask for help. Maybe get a musculoskeletal screen every once in a while just to make sure you're cleared before you proceed.
And this is a question I like to ask physical therapists almost anytime I talk to them, is where do you feel the line should be drawn? Because I'm strength and conditioning coach, right? Someone comes to me, but they have an injury, and I have a limited knowledge compared to a physical therapist of what I could do for that. And most of the stuff that we learn as coaches is just like from this certification we took here, from this event too we went there, from what we've read online. We didn't go to years and years of school for this exact thing. So where do you think that the coach's line should be drawn in? You know what? I'm not going to try and help you with your shoulder anymore. I'm going to refer you to a physical therapist. Where do you think the coach should draw that line?
I think pain is the line. If it's not just an acute strain where giving them a couple days rest and they're going to recover, that's the point. Or you just see something just really out of whack and you're not seeing an improvement, or there's just something they're not improving. You're a smart coach. You've been doing this for a long time. You know what you can expect out of your athlete. And if they're legitimately putting on the work, their nutrition and their sleep is on point, they're recovering and they're not making progress, then, referring out. But I think pain is the clear line of I can do this or I shouldn't. And same with me. I have the CSCS background, but by no means am I a strength coach. I just have that to understand enough to coach my athletes. But once I get them clear, I can set them up and then refer them over to you or someone in my community who I can trust to then take them to the next level. So it kind of goes both ways. We need to know our limits if we don't have formal strength coach training. And same thing, the strength coaches I have relationships with know there's pain on board. Let's kick him over to Jace. He'll clear it out, and then he can kick him back over to me to keep training.
Yeah, I really like to ask that question, not only for my own benefit, but just for athletes to hear and for other coaches to hear, because I think sometimes coaches feel like there's an over-reliance, like they're supposed to have all the answers to everything, and you're not. And then also athletes, your expectation of a coach. Like if your shoulder's killing you every single day and you're still going, and your coach is just kind of saying like, "Hey, yeah, I don't know, just stretch it out and then hit the barbell." It's like, well, okay, hold on, guys. Let's maybe we'll dig in a little bit deeper here. So I really appreciate you answering that question, Jace. All right, man. Joe, do you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
All right, Jace. It's been a blast having you on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Can't wait to get this out to Garage Gym Athletes all around the world, man. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, you guys too. Thanks a lot.